Austin, Texas was once a rather laid-back capital city with a hippie vibe and the slogan, "Keep Austin Weird." But now it's regularly on the top of lists for job creation, entrepreneurship, and technology, in addition to food, creativity, and music. In a quest to learn some lessons from the city, the New Mexico Technology Council and P&M brought several notable Austinites to Albuquerque for Tech Fiesta earlier this fall. Producer Megan Kermick sat down with them to talk about how Austin managed this transformation and if there are tips for Albuquerque and New Mexico that we could use to build a more robust startup culture here.
I am here today with Hugh Forrest. He's the director of South by Southwest Interactive. Also Melly Price, she's managing director of the Capital Factory in Austin. And our own Lisa Atkins, chair of the New Mexico Technology Council and a director at the Biosciences Incubator and FatPipe ABQ. Thank you all for coming to New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you.
Melly, I want to start with you. You moved to Austin in 1988. What was it like then compared to now, and how did that change so radically?
It changed a lot. When I moved there as a college student, you know, you literally couldn't give a building away downtown. There was a real estate crisis that had been happening, not a lot of jobs, and it was a smaller town actually at that point in time. And over the last 20 years, we've really seen a number of companies come through some success. And we've seen the real estate market come back. Actually, it's at an all-time high. And so we've seen a lot of job creation. We've seen a lot of companies that have employees that have had success and then gone on to found other companies. And that's really contributed to the early stage environment for us.
And what is Capital Factory? What's your role in that economic picture?
So Capital Factory is an early stage incubator, accelerator program, and co-working space and investment fund all wrapped into one. We take companies from around the nation that apply to our program, accept them into the incubator process, and then we have curated a community of Capital Factory partners who invest in and mentor our companies. And so when a company gets to lead mentors, then the Capital Factory Fund will actually match that investment. And then we've partnered with the venture capital community and have 2 venture capital partners that match our match. So a company can leave our program with $200,000 in funding and a broad network of Capital Factory partners that have all had successful exits, have great networks, et cetera.
So is it a strategic plan and overall arching, like we want to make Austin the center of tech entrepreneurship? Or, you know, how did that all come about?
Well, it was a well-architected plan from the beginning. You know, one of the things I love about Austin is it is an organic community. Our success has really come over time, and it has come organically. There hasn't been an overnight success that can claim single fame to how we've become one of the most successful cities in the nation right now.
Hugh, you are the director of South by Southwest Interactive. Now, when I lived in San Antonio in the late 90s, South by Southwest was mostly a music and film festival. What is the interactive component, and what has been its role in this ecosystem?
Sure. South by Southwest started in 1987 as a music event. In 1994, we added what was then a combined film and multimedia event. And the name multimedia gradually transitioned to interactive. The interactive, or multimedia or interactive portion of the event was traditionally the smallest portion of the event, and led me many times to question my boss about why we were still doing this thing and how did it fit into the whole picture. But lo and behold, we started to see some significant growth in around 2004 and have enjoyed or been very fortunate to experience like a 10-year growth cycle since then. And the interactive event has now become the biggest industry portion of the event. Biggest because there are more people coming in for music or general public, but industry registrants. I often say that, you know, and it's entirely true, that interactive would not have survived those very lean years if music had not been around to pay the bills, which is, transpose that, it's you know, advice not to quit your day job when you have a startup and
don't quit your job as a musician.
Yes, actually. But interactive our growth is very much a reflection of the growth of social media, the growth of startups,
Twitter credits South by Southwest for really helping it launch.
Twitter is nice enough to credit us with helping them launch in 2007. It's not really true because they were already out for
raising its profile.
Yeah, they've been out for 4 or 5 months. But I think the kind of what another important point to remember with regards to the Twitter story is that Evan Williams, who was one of the co-founders of Twitter, had been coming to South by Southwest Interactive for 4 or 5 years. So he kind of was making connections, and when they came back in 2007, he knew how to work the event. And I think that's evidence that you grow incrementally. It's not ever just something changes overnight. He knew how to use the event, to market the event, to use the event as a platform for which to grow, and that helped Twitter be so successful in 2007. Twitter, again, was clearly our tipping point in that once Twitter became more popular, more and more startups wanted to come to the event to experience that same kind of growth. More and more VCs wanted to come to the event to discover the next Twitter before it was Twitter, so it really changed things for us, and we're very lucky. But again, you know, these things happen slowly and incrementally. I like what Melly said about organic growth. I'm a strong believer that slow organic growth is the strongest kind of growth, and you know, we've been around for 25, almost 30 years, and what we are today is pretty big, but there was a long time when we were a pretty small event.
You know, you get about 50,000 people every year?
Interactive gets about 30,000. Music is another 25,000. Film is about that much.
I think it's interesting. It started as this creative event that has spun off whatever you want to call sort of the more hardcore economic development.
Well,
but
still
it started with creativity, which seems important.
I still like to think that South by Southwest at its very heart is about creativity. From my side of the event, it just so happens that they express that creativity using technology. The most interesting speakers year in and year out are the people who are very, very creative and think about the world differently than the rest of us do. But you're absolutely right that this creativity has translated into real world impact. 2013, which is the last year we have figures for the economic impact of South by Southwest, was $218 million. That's the economic impact of the city of Austin. That's hotel rooms bought, that's restaurants, their sales, that's bar sales, that's taxi sales, that's trinkets bought, souvenirs bought.
And that's just during the event, right? That's not the companies that decide to launch, they locate there. Or, yeah.
Correct. And to put that in perspective, the economic impact of a Super Bowl is, depending on what studies you're looking at, is 400 to 500 million. So it's a big deal for the Austin economy at this point, and it's neat to be part of that.
Lisa, you are with the Technology Council, and we're filming this during Tech Fiesta Week.
Yes.
We'll be airing after that. But why Austin? Why did you all want to bring folks from Austin in to talk about what's going on there? What can we learn?
So Albuquerque is different than Austin, and we need to figure out how to grow our economy and support our startup environment in ways that work for Albuquerque. But one of the things that we have in common is the creativity and the swell of support downtown right now with so many organizations and so many people to really make it happen. One of the other benefits was Danielle Duran with PNM, and PNM supports our PNM's Innovation Speaker Series. So she had some contacts in Austin, and she thought it might be a nice compliment for us to take a mission trip to Austin and meet some of these people and ask, you know, the questions like, what are you doing? How can we raise Tech Fiesta to maybe be Albuquerque's flavor of South by Southwest? I visited Capital Factory. I want Fat Pipe ABQ, you know, to grow up to be a Capital Factory. So we saw lots of great things. We know that we need to do it our own way and put in our own flavor, but it'll happen because there's a lot of enthusiasm and support behind it.
You are a director at Fat Pipe ABQ and also at the Biosciences Center. What are those organizations? They're fairly new on the economic scene. You know,
Bioscience Center, almost 2 years now. So it's a true incubator, privately funded for startups in biotech and life sciences. We have wet lab space, 9 private wet labs, so biology and chemistry use. We're completely full. And a number of our companies have gotten funding in the last couple of years. It's a great place to interact with like-minded people. Products get created within our doors with strangers who hadn't met each other before coming to the Bioscience Center. That pipe, you know, we wanted to follow the model of the Bioscience Center, but we also wanted to be a little bit more like Capital Factory and have that open format. You know, people come in, they squat at a seat. We want that collaboration to happen and these people to meet each other. With the Tech Council and in the startup world, I talk to these business owners who say they can't find talent. And then I hold the meetup groups for all these great software developers, and they say they can't find work. Well, if you get them in one single facility and you let that collaboration happen organically, then you know you're creating jobs and new ideas and businesses and startups, and that's what we want to do down there.
What are you seeing from when you went to Austin, when you've talked with these two this week, that you'd like to steal from Austin?
Well,
or adapt.
Yeah.
Remix.
Remix, exactly.
Well, I think Tech Fiesta is kind of one of the things that we want to model off South by Southwest. We don't necessarily have the music scene that they had to begin with, but I know that we have a great music scene, and if we can incorporate those people, maybe you know that'll pick up. We have the creativity and the tech here that is incredible, and there are some technologies in New Mexico that you don't see anywhere else. Our biotech, potential in water industries, nano and optics. So those are the things that we can really build our culture around because they're unique to New Mexico, maybe using some of the methodologies that Austin did.
What are some of the inherent strengths that Austin built on that were there? You didn't have to import them necessarily.
We had an interesting conversation at breakfast about this. You know, I think the creative class is such an important part of the ecosystem. A lot of the ideation and innovation comes out of that group. Now, they might not necessarily want to build businesses around those ideas, but having that, we had just a really rich ecosystem for that. As our foundation, and when you add to it, we have a wonderful university, a highly educated workforce, a creative workforce, and you add, you know, a little work ethic and a little right timing, and I think that's as much the magic as anything. So really just building on that foundation of good people, good ideas, well executed, you know, that to me is the recipe for the organic growth that sustains over time.
Well, I think another thing to add there, which is interesting in how this has changed, is that Austin had this creativity, has traditionally had this creativity, and as Melly says, particularly in the music industry, Austin was traditionally also a very, very cheap place to live. So you could, I
forgot about that.
Be in a band, well, we all forgot about that. Be in a band, wait tables, write poetry, figure out what you're going to do with your life, be very, very creative, and you didn't have to make a whole lot of money to pay rent. Now, one of the things that has changed tremendously in the city as we've grown, been fortunate enough to grow in these last 10 years, these last 5 years, is the city has gone from being very affordable to not so affordable. We are fortunate enough to not be as expensive as, say, a San Francisco or a New York, but we are certainly much more expensive than we were previously, and that is beginning to scare some of the creatives away, and I think that's something that we're concerned about, very concerned about, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, and I think that's a comparative strength that maybe an Albuquerque can offer, is when you're talking about the startup market particularly, cost of living is something that can be used to significant advantage, and
Absolutely.
That seems like something that can be leveraged here.
And the cost of labor
Absolutely.
as well.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because they're getting like 100 people a day, more or less, moving in, and we have an out-migration. And Albuquerque Business First has been highlighting some of those folks who left, variety of reasons, but some of the big ones were crime, poor schools, opportunities, but also low wages. So it seems like it's a double-edged sword. We can tout our low cost of living, and yet it's hard to market, hey, we don't pay much. So how can we do that?
For those of us, though, who have grown up in the community and don't necessarily want to leave, we'll work for low wages for a little while, or we'll work for free while we get our startups off the ground, knowing that there will be a payoff at the end. And you have to be a risk taker to do that. But we want to create wealth here, and it'll happen. We just need to keep these people engaged and keep them here with our beautiful weather and everything else that New Mexico has to offer, and the rest will come.
Sure, and this is classic startup, logic, mythology, however you want to phrase this, is take what everyone thinks is a weakness and turn it into a strength. And the story I often tell with regards to that is South by Southwest always occurs in the second week of March. The reason it occurs in the second week of March is when the initial founders were trying to get this thing off the ground. They went to all the bar owners and said, we've got this great idea for this music festival. And you would think bar owners would be liberal and willing to take chances. They said, sounds like a cool idea, come back in a couple of years and maybe you can use our club. It kept knocking on doors, kept knocking on doors, kept knocking on doors. And eventually they got some club owners to relent, and the club owners said, we've got 1 week out of the year, which is our worst week of the year. It's when all the students leave for spring break. You can have that week. You can't do anything worse than what we're doing already.
Wow.
Lo and behold, 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, that week for many bars and restaurants is where they do 20, 30, 40% of their revenue for the entire year during that week.
Oh my God, really?
So again, the point is, take a weakness.
Because I know how much people drink in Austin.
Take a weakness that no one thinks is a strength, turn it into a strength.
Not only is it spring break, it's the most unpredictable weather of the year. So you may get the best of Austin, you may get the rainy, cold side of Austin.
We're working on that technology moment.
Yeah.
And one of our new accelerators had an applicant from San Francisco. So, we're attracting people from out of town, and perhaps, that company is going to be one of Albuquerque's best new startups, and they're going to have to employ some developers, and you never know what's going to happen.
We're just about out of time, but I'm curious, Lisa, now we're showing this after Tech Fiesta is over. The Tech Council, of course, does programming all year.
Yes.
But how do you guys plan to continue this conversation after they leave?
Well, the PNM Innovation Speaker Series will be a great way to stay engaged with the efforts that we're doing. We hope to have speakers in October and November, and then more next year. Of course, the Tech Council and the people on the board, our core team, we sponsor startup weekends and game jams and all sorts of other activities. And really, you just need to reach out and follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, because if there's anything tech going on in Albuquerque or even all of New Mexico, we're talking about it. And if you have questions, get a hold of us, because, we'd love to have you. Come to 1 Million Cups.
Oh, that's a weekly event you have, right?
It's a weekly event, yeah. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. at Fat Pipe. Come for a free cup of coffee and find out what's going on in your community. They're all great ways to get involved.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming and talking about this.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thanks
to Albuquerque.
Thank you.